Hello, my name's Han van Loon. I'm going to introduce you to Scrum. There was a time teams struggled to deliver. Scrum is simply a way for a team to manage and perform work to achieve agility, velocity and quality all together. I'm going to cover things like product backlogs and sprint backlogs. Also, Scrum planning poker. What is it? Scrum boards and burn down charts. But first I want to focus on the most important thing, and that's the people involved. Scrum only has 3 roles. First we have her, the product owner. She defines the vision for the product. What's going to make this product great that our customers will love it? She defines that in terms of user stories, and she prioritizes those user stories. She accepts the results of the sprint from the team, and she facilitates the interaction between the users, the customers, and the Scrum team that develops the product. Then we have him. He's the Scrum Master. He helps the team learn to use Scrum. He removes impediments for the team, and he protects the team from interruptions. And then we have the most important people, the team members themselves, because they're the people who define the delivery per sprint. They create the product, and of course they have to make sure that it's high quality, and they are self-organizing and autonomous. So they decide how much work they can do in a sprint, and they're responsible for achieving that and delivering it to the product owner. Of course there are other people involved, our customers and users who hopefully are going to pay for our product, and executives who we want to help sponsor the team but not interfere or manage the team, because the team is self-managing. A typical Scrum team is 7 members. We talk about 7 plus or minus 2, so it could be 9 members, but it could be as little as 5. So what does the Scrum process look like? Well, we have our product owner. She has this vision for a great product, and she probably needs a business case so that the business will invest in that. She collects all the user ideas, writes them down as user stories describing all the features in the product. That's basically the product backlog. She then meets with the team and she tells the team what she would like to achieve. The team then do their planning and they say how much work that they can do, and out of that basically is an agreed set of features. That's what we call the sprint backlog. The team then does some further planning if needed to break down the stories into tasks and loads those onto the Scrum board. Then the sprint fun starts. The team works every day doing a daily Scrum. You can see user stories being completed with the burn down reflecting that progress. At the end of the sprint, the team meets with the product owner and demonstrates all the new features. She decides whether she wants to release the product or run some more sprints. Before the team starts the next sprint planning though, they run a sprint retrospective to say what went well and what they want to improve for the next sprint. The final event is product grooming, where the product owner and the team groom the product and sprint backlogs depending on the work that was done, new ideas that come in and so on. So there you have the basic sprint cycle, but don't panic because I'm going to cover everything in detail in the following minutes. In Scrum we talk about social objects rather than documents because they're the basis for a discussion between the product owner, the customers, the users and the team. So our product owner starts with a vision. What will make this product great? What users' wants and needs do we want to satisfy? How many of these features do we think we need to have a usable, valuable product? So she has a conversation with the users and collects basically all the ideas for features as user stories. That's basically the product backlog. From this big list of features, the product owner needs to decide which ones are valuable and she wants to include in the next development of this product. That's basically product backlog grooming. She then prioritizes the selected features in terms of business value. The product owner meets with the team and she explains what she would like the team to achieve. That's basically the sprint goal. She asks the team to tell her how many features they believe they can do in this sprint. So the team start doing sprint planning using planning poker. This is where each team member estimates the scope and complexity of each feature, and we take a mean or average. The team then decide the total number of features that they believe that they can do in a sprint, and they negotiate with the product owner until agreement is reached. Once we have agreement, we have what we call the sprint backlog, a set of features that the team commits to do their best effort to prepare for that sprint. The team then decides whether they need to break more complex user stories into tasks. So they do a second level of sprint planning, and when they're ready, they'll actually make a visible version of the sprint backlog. That could be a physical Scrum wall, which I prefer, or it could be an electronic one. And you see, as stories progress to done, this is reflected in the burn down chart on the right hand side. The burn down chart is one reason why Scrum has become popular, because it presents a lot of information in a very simple format. You can see how much progress has been made. You can see the average productivity, what we call the velocity. And based on that velocity, you can predict whether you're actually going to complete all the tasks and user stories and achieve the sprint goal or not. So, when do we know when an item is done? Well, the team needs to agree on a definition of done first. This could be it's releasable, they've system and unit tested it, and the user is in fact done their acceptance tests. So as soon as they've developed an item, they should test the item. If there's a defect, or a software bug as we often call it, they should immediately work on fixing those defects and then retest the item. When it's successfully completed, they can say it's done. In Scrum, sprints are between 1 and 4 weeks long. However, the shorter the release cycle, the shorter we should make the length of the sprint. And typically we have between 3 and about 12 sprints per release. Because Scrum uses sprints of 1 to 4 weeks, they act as mini milestones. So when a team plans with the product owner to do a release of several sprints, everybody can see the progress at any time. If the team can't meet a sprint goal, then you get rapid and early feedback. You can look at what impediments there are and replan if needed. Every day the team discusses progress at the daily Scrum. This is basically a 15-minute stand-up meeting, good teams take 5 minutes or less, at which everybody says what they got done yesterday. Each team member then explains what they will do today, whether they need the help of another team member or perhaps even the product owner. Finally, the Scrum Master asks the team members if any of them have any impediments. If there is an impediment, the Scrum Master should help the team member to remove the impediment so that everyone in the team is ready for their daily work. And that brings us to the final event in Scrum, which is the sprint retrospective. The Scrum Master asks each team member to explain what they felt went well, and also what could have been better. So each team member provides input on both, and then there's a discussion to decide, okay, what would we like to improve for the next sprint? So it's basically lessons learned and applied. So there you have it, Scrum, 3 roles, 3 social objects, and 5 events, and a much better way for teams to work together. I'm Han van Loon. I hope you enjoyed my video, and let's get ready, done with Scrum.